From the moment she tied her apron that night, Emily never imagined her life was about to change forever. She was just a small-town waitress in Toronto, working late shifts at a diner to pay off her student loans and help her younger brother through school. Her days blurred into endless orders of coffee and pancakes, her smile stretched thin as she carried plates to tables filled with strangers. But behind her tired eyes was a quiet strength, a heart that never gave up even when life seemed to close every door. It was a snowy evening when he walked in. Alexander Grant. Everyone in the city knew his name, Canada's most eligible billionaire, a man whose empire stretched from real estate to tech investments. To Emily, though, he was just another customer bundled in a dark coat, sitting quietly in the corner booth. She didn't recognize him at first. She only noticed how tired he looked, like he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. When she set down his cup of coffee, she whispered, "Rough night." She didn't expect him to answer, but he looked up, surprised by her kindness, and for the first time in years, he smiled. That one small act of compassion started something neither of them could have predicted. Alexander kept coming back, night after night, always sitting in the same booth. They talked about everything: dreams, struggles, fears. Emily told him about her mother who had passed away, about working 3 jobs to keep her brother safe, about how sometimes she felt invisible in a city that moved too fast. Alexander listened, not as a billionaire, but as a man who found her honesty refreshing in a world filled with people who only wanted his money. He never told her who he was. To Emily, he was just Alex, a quiet man who loved coffee and late-night conversations. But life has a way of testing hearts. One evening, reporters crowded the diner, snapping pictures. That was the night Emily learned the truth. Alex, was not a simple man, he was Alexander Grant, worth billions. Customers whispered, coworkers stared, and Emily's heart sank. She felt betrayed, as though the one person she trusted had hidden behind a mask. She stormed out, refusing to hear his explanations. For days, she avoided him, going back to her routine, but nothing felt the same. The diner felt emptier without him. Alexander didn't give up. He showed up outside her apartment one morning, standing in the snow without a driver or an entourage. "Emily," he said, his voice raw, "I never wanted you to see me as anything but a man who found hope in your smile. I've been surrounded by people who chase money, not hearts. You were different. You saw me when I was just me." Her anger melted into tears. For the first time, she realized that he was just as lonely as she was. Slowly, she let him back into her life, though it wasn't easy. The media criticized her, calling her a gold digger, questioning her worth. Emily's coworkers whispered behind her back. She wanted to run, but Alexander stood by her side, refusing to let the world's cruelty break them apart. Together, they faced every headline, every cruel word, with their hands tightly held. The turning point came when Emily's brother was injured in a car accident. Hospital bills mounted, and her fear returned. But Alexander never hesitated, not with money, but with presence. He sat by her brother's bed for hours, reading stories, bringing laughter into the hospital room. Emily saw his heart in those moments, not as a billionaire, but as a man who cared deeply for the people she loved. That was when she knew his love was real. Months later, in front of friends, family, and the very reporters who once doubted her, Alexander knelt down in the same diner where it all began. With the ring trembling in his hand, he asked her to be his queen, not of an empire, but of his heart. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she whispered yes, realizing that love had found her in the unlikeliest of places. From waitress to queen, Emily's journey wasn't about wealth or luxury. It was about resilience, kindness, and the courage to see past what the world says you deserve. For every Canadian who has ever felt invisible, her story carries a message: you don't need to be born into greatness to find it. Sometimes, all it takes is a smile, a cup of coffee, and a heart brave enough to love. Would you like me to make this story slightly longer so it naturally fills a 4-minute video when narrated, with more emotional detail in key moments like when she finds out his identity and when the media attacks her?